Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the this is the March 27th meeting of the Board of Sewer Commissioners. And I'd like to call a meeting to order, 6:30. And could start with a roll call.
Bob Scanlon?
Carrie Pastor.
Sandy Slavin.
And Jim Gibberti. Next we have is citizens' participation, and seems they all left. We have none. We have minutes from December 17th. Sandy, have you seen them?
Is it in the packet? I think so, isn't it?
Yeah.
A single page?
Yep.
These are the
Yep.
minutes for the joint meeting with the Selectmen and the Board of Selectmen
Yep.
to appoint Carrie as our member.
Correct.
And when I was reviewing our agendas to posted minutes, I found that this had not been done, so I pulled it out of my notebook, and here you are. So I make a motion to accept the minutes of December 17th, 24 as presented.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Sandy. Next, we have,
Next, we have minutes from February 27th. I have reviewed them. I had some comments made. They were brought back. And so I make a motion to accept the February 27th minutes.
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have March 13th.
Next one we have is March 13th. I reviewed them. Corrections were made and resubmitted, so I make a motion, we accept the minutes of March 13th, 2025.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we have March 13th as the workshop.
Affirmative.
I make a motion, we accept them as presented.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Jimmy, are they in the blue folder for signing?
No, they are not.
Is there anything in the blue folder?
Negative.
Sure, no.
Just a minute, let me see if I have ones here with signature pages on them, so I'll leave these there,
They all should have signature pages on them.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
mine do.
here's one there.
I'll take mine out of my folder and put my working documents.
Okay.
So I have,
You want me to, you want these?
no, I'll take
Okay.
these.
I've got proposed bylaw changes. Scott presented us with a page at the last meeting, bylaw changes. Does anybody have any questions or comments or additions or?
Do we have them printed out someplace?
They were from the last meeting, yes.
Available for.
How about summarizing for the public what they're for, one more time? And do these bylaw changes, must they be approved at town meeting?
This will be a town meeting item. This is not for approval or disapproval tonight.
At which
This
town,
fall town meeting,
focus for fall town meeting?
yes.
Can you summarize what they're for, please, Jimmy?
If I could, I would.
Scott?
I don't have that sheet with me. I thought I had it.
I have it here. It's just the
Okay.
powers and duties. He just,
Yeah.
he had,
That's the one.
right here. But
I thought I had it with me.
for the sake of time, and this is not for the fall meeting, can we just hold this off for the next meeting? For everybody who doesn't have a copy of it,
Yeah,
right?
Oh, we can
Yes.
definitely do that. I mean, but
What's that?
the only reason I'm mentioning this right now is just to see if anybody has anything they want to add to this to begin the process of developing it. Right now, that's just a proposal
Right.
that Scott has made.
Yeah, other than bringing it before town council and seeing
Right,
what
town
Rich
council's gonna have
might
to go over it.
suggest. Yeah,
Yeah, there's no deletions, he just added
He's just added this
recommendations.
one. Right,
can a copy of it be placed in next meeting's packet, please?
of course.
Right, this would decide.
yeah.
You probably have it in
I have
last,
it, yeah, I
the
have it
last
somewhere.
minutes packets.
Well, I went through my whole bag and filed it, so I don't have it with me, because I filed it
Okay.
with all my other minutes
So that means you have it.
packets.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna defer this IMA discussion because that's something I want, Scott in on from the beginning, because he's gonna be having a lot to do with that. But just as a backup or a background, IMA is the intermunicipal agreement that we have with Bourne, and it's a little past due from being up for review. And with things that have happened down in Bourne and our own situation, it needs some serious review and direction.
So,
There
in-
was an agreement reached between town administrators a few years ago, which is the rate we're paying right now, which is, I don't know that that's accurate or not, and we need more input from Scott on that.
what's the date of the one that we now are using?
10 years ago?
Would it have been up to us to initiate the new one, or,
Well, it depends on who you want to talk to.
so we wait to Bourne to come to us, or we're going to go to Bourne?
We should definitely initiate it,
So it's 10,
but it's been a
Yes.
selectman issue. And I believe it should come under under this board as opposed to the selectmen.
when did the selectman no longer be a sewer commissioner? More than 10 years ago, right?
Oh, yeah, no, it's about 10 years ago now, yeah,
Yeah, 2015.
yep.
So it was before we were even formed.
Correct.
How long have you been a commissioner, Jimmy?
10 years. But we were,
Who noticed it? We were late in getting it done. Who noticed it?
this has been an ongoing fight with them. They're gonna probably say it was 5 years ago it was redone, but it hasn't been handled. And right now, as far as I'm concerned, we have a board that's capable of doing something on that, and we should be able to do it now with not only
Who's the,
board, but
So,
who's the driving force? Who will take the lead on it? You?
probably, I guess, I don't, if somebody
The
else
chair.
wants to, that's fine, yeah.
I'll assist you with it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because it's not gonna be, it's gonna be something I certainly can't do alone, I know that.
But going forward, are we the first line of communication and negotiations with this?
We will be,
Before it is communicated to the selectmen,
yes,
right? Versus the other way around, is that what we're
yes.
saying?
I'm gonna say, yes, we're gonna take it
Okay.
over, and we're gonna just do it.
We'll present it to Bourne,
Well, we'll,
or does it go through the selectmen before it goes to Bourne?
Well, that's-
no, I don't believe that should, well, that could be up for discussion, but at this point, I say we should establish what that is going to be, what the parameters are, and I think to establish the parameters, once we have them to a degree that we're comfortable with all the way around, then we should sit down with Bourne and go over them before we start going crazy.
And who do you reach out to Bourne to? The chair of the select board?
Yep, at this point, as far as that's who it is at this particular moment. Unless they've changed horses, which I doubt.
Just for clarity, in Bourne, the select persons are also the sewer commissioners,
Right.
just in case you didn't.
I didn't know that.
See, I thought that's why I'm going, I thought you'd be interested in that.
Okay. Okay, we had a request for an update on the Narrows situation. Scott, can you just give us an overview of what's going on there now?
Yeah, I've been meeting with the engineers that are working on it. I'll be actually meeting with them tomorrow. We're going through plans as it comes along, as better ideas, new ideas are presented on how to attack the problem. So we're coming up with some pretty good ideas, and I'm pretty excited about it. Because again, the idea behind it is to not only address the situation with the force main itself, but also address future needs of the plant and discharge points. So that's what we're working on.
Do they have any ballpark idea when they would be at a stage of presenting plans?
I can ask them tomorrow.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? Okay, Scott is not here, so we don't have an EDU update on where he's at with his project. Database update. I was wondering if you'd had any.
Yes. Yeah, I've learned that there's a database component now included with my Microsoft account. So I'm in the process of restarting my project of putting all the pertinent information as far as contracts and abatements and our meetings and discussions into the database so that it can be at our fingertips. The mapping, I am in communication with Matt in IT, and it appears that we have an account with the company that did the mapping. And I believe Matt will be able to provide login information so that GHD presumably could update it. I had reached out to the company themselves, but I hadn't heard back from them, but it looks like we do have an account and we should have access to it, so we can get on track with that, which would be nice. I think, I don't know, Scott, I think that GHD would be the ones to update?
To the best of my knowledge, they've been the ones to do it, yeah.
Okay, all right, so that should be,
No reason to change at this point, so.
okay.
Did we all get that memo from a Jim Shaw? Who is Jim Shaw?
The Latter-day Saints campground? Is that it?
No.
Was that the other letter?
What was that, Sandy?
We got a letter addressed to
Yes.
the sewer commissioners on March 26th from a
Right.
Jim Shaw. He addressed as to why the campground was not on our list. Did you not get it, Jimmy?
Negative.
I didn't get it.
Nothing of it.
I do have, that's from the Latter-day Saints campground. I received it.
That's where Scott lives.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
but what it says is, it's not on our GIS system because it's privately owned. And because it's privately owned, should I just read it?
Sure.
Yeah, please.
Yep.
Carrie, you go for it.
Want to read it?
No, you read it.
The reason that the campground is not on the GIS system is because it is privately owned area. The campground paid to install the system and no town monies were used. Repairs to this system are not the responsibility of the town water pollution control. I was only required to put the town-owned projects onto the GIS system when I, as superintendent, chief operator, was in charge. That was a policy at the time. Also, the EDU was developed by me because we used a hybrid system for billing, which saw a very large amount of complaints, not the least of which were the water, the water amount on the sewer bill did not match the amount of water used on the water bill. The hospital questioned whether we accounted for the amount of evaporation incurred in their cooking of meals. Water leaks in dwellings were never the problem of the homeowners and should have been accounted for by the sewer department. The EDU system I developed was fully based on the sewer billing at the time and resulted in approximately 5% of the commercial bills rising and several being lower. It also required no further factors other than the number of EDUs and the amount of the revenue to be generated. Given the two numbers, almost anyone could calculate the sewer rate.
I was shocked at this, that this person named Jim Shaw, who must have been a superintendent of the sewer some time ago, developed EDUs and why they went away from actual water usage. I mean, no one's ever heard of Jim Shaw?
I've never heard of him.
I have heard of him.
I don't-
You knew.
I don't even know if, in the representation where he says superintendent and chief operator, was a town position?
I don't know, could have been.
It sounds like it's part of the neighborhood.
Well, it could have, that's what I
Yeah.
thought originally.
Yeah, but it's hard to believe that somebody at the campgrounds developed EDUs. I mean, I was surprised at this information coming to us.
Nothing
I've never seen
surprises
it.
me.
It's,
I wish I had, but
Bob, did you get it?
I did not get it.
I got,
We shouldn't
Jim
be,
Shaw, Dusty.
we should not be using sewer commissioners at wareham.ma.us, because apparently we're not all getting it.
Well, that's how I received mine.
I got mine that way.
Well, I actually printed it so Bria, because the more I read this, the more confused I got.
So, yes, we had a hybrid system at one time, and we backed away from it because it was too hard,
But what was
That's what I heard.
what was a hybrid system? What was the other
based on the
part?
water.
Got me beat.
So, I mean,
News,
so,
all news to me.
Yeah, I mean, from reading it, it sounds like he was in charge of the neighborhood, and
I-
they developed all of this.
I think it went beyond that. Well, anyway, that was just me. I never heard of Jim Shaw. Anyway, so I just thought I brought it up.
I'm
Interesting.
glad you did. We'll chase that one down.
I had it on as part of the, any other topics to be discussed was this letter.
Okay.
Interesting.
Is there any action we need to take on this, other than for input?
Joe, I
only?
did FYI.
I think
Because we talked about why the campground, as Scott asked, was not documented on our GIS maps.
It makes sense,
And
actually,
this is, it's
because,
a privately owned.
you know, once the, what's the one up the road there?
Rosebrook?
The park up the road across from Walmart that's been having some issues.
Oh, yeah, Great Hills Estates.
Great Hills.
Similarly, they will not show up on our map, each individual tie-in. All they will show is the stub that goes out to them.
So we don't know if they're hooked or not, correct? Connected to? Must
They
have-
all hooked, but we
Well,
we had different numbers.
So, yeah, we're still working that out. But again, we have a map internally they've provided to us of what is tied in and what their plans are to tie in. But our numbers differ currently on what is tied in. That's this specific property, but again, that probably won't make the map. But now that we have that information, there's no reason we can't put it on our map.
Yeah, well, the difference is that Great Hills put in all their infrastructure out to the street. Whereas it sounds like the town put in the sewer lines in the campground.
I thought it just
So-
said there that they
No.
did not.
We did, this email from this person said that none of it was done with the cost to the town. So the town did not put any of the sewer lines in at the
Oh,
campground.
okay.
If, based on this document we just read.
Right, that's what he said.
That's my
But
understanding, yeah.
the question I had after last meeting was, didn't we run the main up there and they were to connect in?
I believe that's what he's telling us, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think what he's saying here is that they paid for that main to go in there, is that correct?
No, I believe
No?
they paid for the trunk lines up the roads.
Yeah.
And the tie-ins to it.
Yeah,
All right.
that's the way it sounds like to me, like they went
And
from
that's not,
8 point, but I don't know.
that's a practice that still continues to this day, well, similar to Rose Point, what's that one, Robinwood. What they're going to do, I don't have their plan yet, but their intent is they are going to tie, that subdivision into our existing, but they're going to go through existing roads in town, but they're doing it at their expense.
Well, that sheds a little more light on why it didn't show up on the mapping.
Right.
Yes, that does.
Yeah.
So that answers that question, because we had it at the last couple meetings, why Scott says, why aren't my tie-ins there?
I guess my question then is, if that's tied into our system somehow, they put all the piping and everything else in, are we billing the homeowners individually, or are we billing a one bill to the campground?
They do not own their land.
Who owns it?
The church. They pay rent, just like a mobile home park.
That's my question. Do we bill, in this case, the church for sewer, or do we bill the individual homeowners for sewer?
I guess if Scott is here, we could ask Scott if he got a sewer bill.
I thought we had this.
I think I think they have individual bills, according to Scott, because he went to pay his bill and it didn't show up.
Okay,
They, one hand didn't know what the other hand was doing in town.
Well, as I said earlier, now I'm getting more confused with this. Because I thought at the last meeting that the campground was collecting money from them, from each unit, and then they were paying us as on one bill.
that's what Great Hill does.
That's what Great Hill does.
That's a
Yeah.
mobile home park.
Okay?
But I know Scott,
But this is not.
This is different from that?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, I
bought
say it is because if they're receiving individual bills, I'm just curious as to how that all came about, and if they
Yeah.
add in additional, how do we know that? I don't know. That's minor. That won't change the bottom line on anything. Okay, I will see if I can get more information on this Jim Shaw situation, if we can.
The fact that he uses the EDU means that he had to be around during that terminology,
Yeah, exactly,
right?
yeah.
When that was introduced to Wareham.
So I will see what I can find out.
Okay.
Water line update. Who would like to do that, Bob or Scott?
Wait a minute. Me first. Minutes
Okay.
approved.
Okay.
Thank you for Anita, please.
Okay.
Okay,
What?
go ahead.
kidding, yeah,
Go ahead.
water
Water line update, construction, yeah.
Things are going pretty darn well. They've got, one of the clarifiers, looks like about half the walls up. They do them in sections, so, they've got 4 of 8 sections up, on one of the 2 clarifiers. The entirety of the foundation for the sodium hydroxide building is in. It's currently being tight tested. The foundation itself is the secondary containment, so they need to make sure if the tanks of sodium hydroxide let go, it will be retained within the building. Otherwise, they've been putting in the return activated sludge line, and I understand today they found one of our gas lines, the hard way.
Nice.
Nothing happened, they patched it all up, you know, no big deal, but just one of those things that happen. You can get DigSafe to mark things out, that doesn't mean you're not gonna hit stuff, because their mark is good for anywhere on the property, so. Anyway, otherwise, they've been working really well with us, and we've been working well with them. They're helping us do certain things, and we're trying to help them save money on our bigger project, and they've been great to work with, so.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Could you just go over the existing clarifiers and the work that you've done on those, maintenance?
It's gonna be my superintendent report. You're kinda jumping ahead
yeah.
here, Bob.
Yeah, you got, those were
No, no, it's fine, it's fine. So last week,
I don't see
the
it
crew, some of which had some very new people in it, but we had all hands on deck. The week before last, it took us 4 days to take down one clarifier and learn how to really clean it. It had never been done to the best of anyone's knowledge. And
Oh,
Has been
Sandy, you
done?
should have been there.
And the one we went after was having issues. It would literally stop receiving water and make the other two do all the work. So when we got in there, we realized why. But it was an 18-inch line that goes up, and the return activated sludge line is a 10-inch line inside of that line. So the water actually has to pass through one and up and then out, while another one is actually through it. And when we opened up inspection plates on the bottom of it, it was packed with rags. And we're talking enough, we used the Vector truck to pick up the rags, and it was clogging the line of the Vector truck, which will, if anyone doesn't know what a Vector truck is, it is probably the biggest vacuum you've ever seen in your life. And if you put your hand inside the tube, it would rip your whole arm off, which I've actually seen happen. It didn't rip it off, but it pulled all the muscles into this person's fist, so. Pretty impressive machine, still got clogged up with rags.
Wow.
And these clarifiers receive the sludge to clarify, to settle and clarify by gravity. And we're only talking about a 4-foot difference in head, so not a lot of pressure to try to push through rags. But now they're working, I've never seen them work so well. The following week after that, just last week, we took down number 2 clarifier. That took us 2 days. And by the last day, we were able to, in the period of about 18 hours, drain and clean one other entire clarifier. So from the night before, drain it, come in the next day, clean it, and put it back online the same day. And that's how well the team was able to learn and adapt to how to get the job done best. So we went from a 4-day project to a 2-day project to a 1-day project.
Great work.
Nice
Great
job.
work by the crew.
They were
Yeah.
really, I can't think.
Well done.
Well, that's scary that that much rags came through the headworks and still continued to process through the system.
I would step back and just, if you could tell, if you think about the town itself, the furthest points of the town, these rags traveled through gravity, first off, through a toilet or some other access to our system, followed by through potentially multiple lift stations, making it to the plant, going through our headworks without being stopped, went through an anoxic zone without being stopped, went through an aeration tank, which is 200 feet long and 15 feet deep without being stopped, and then into the clarifier pipe, where it finally stopped.
And the question is, how long had they been accumulating in there? Because you've said that clarifier has never been cleaned, that you know
Well,
of.
it's been, so it was taken down and hosed down, and otherwise clean. No one had ever opened those inspection report,
So they could have been there for
inspection
years,
decades.
decades.
So, I mean, again, what was accomplished over the last 2 weeks is gonna set us up for some good years to come.
And you've proven that it can be taken down and done in a day or two, and,
Right.
yeah, that's awesome.
How long had it been since you think the clarifiers were last cleaned out?
We, the person with the most longevity has been at the plant for more than 10 years. He said it was never done like that.
It was superficially
scary.
cleaned, but not detailed.
It might have been just a lack of understanding.
It's just like
Not clear
washing
why.
my car as versus detailing my car.
Yes, I can tell you.
And a lack of initiative, which, the current crew, I mean,
Well-
like you said, they had come in the next morning and started draining the second clarifier on their own, so they're confident in what they can do, and they were willing to take the initiative and,
Yeah, they stayed
Started,
late.
yeah.
Some people, some of the staff last week are looking at the timesheets, put in well over 60 hours. Because you had to come back in the nighttime, once it filled up enough to turn the recirculating pumps on, otherwise it would just overflow with sludge. So they had to come back and try to set everything up in the middle of the night, then come back in the morning and get the next one going. And they were willing to do it, and Again, they work together as a real good team.
So that tells me our backup is now available for backup when the new one comes online.
Based on my calculations, once we have the two, and this is rough calculation, I'm not an engineer and I don't even do good at math, but based on what I see, two new clarifiers are gonna be able to handle 2 million gallons a day, and if we keep, that's really annoying. If we retain the other two clarifiers on board, one of them might have to be mothballed because of the plumbing needed to get the sludge to, or the activated sludge to the other two clarifiers. We'll have two more. We should be able to get close to 2.5 to 3 million gallons a day through the system, if needed.
You've just got a place to put it.
Exactly.
Just got a
Thank
place to
you.
discharge it.
Thank you.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
And the other note is that they did this work during the tremendous rain that we had, utilizing the lagoons, which are now, they're unburdened by which they were formerly burdened, Swift's Beach. The repairs on Swift's Beach have
The I&I.
definitely helped with the I&I.
Yes, it's great that we don't have to pay to process salt water.
Yes.
The ocean's in the ocean now, not in the pipes.
So, no, the crew's doing an excellent job.
And if I can interject at this point to add to that, from looking over the bills, one specific one that always catches my eye is Synagru, which is the sludge disposal. And those bills are a half of what they have been. And that's a result of the operation and the improvements that Scott's made. So,
Excellent.
So Scott, once you go through all this maintenance for all these, the clarifiers and get them up and running, and based on the fact that we don't know when they were ever done again, would it be wise for us to, or for you and the team, to sit down and like have SOPs for this, that they know every 6 months or a year or 18, whatever it takes, so that 10 years down the road when you're still sitting here?
So we've created SOPs now
Yeah.
for every single thing we've been doing.
Nice, very good.
Every time we make a process adjustment or come across any kind of problem that we have at the plant, whether it be power outages, what to do after a power outage, with there's certain things that will not just start up automatically. You have to go in, what to do. And we thought we knew what to do, and then we were learning other pieces that could break too, and we're adding those to the SOP. So everything we're doing is getting an SOP, so that,
Nice.
God forbid, I'm sure you used to do it, but in the business I used to do, we would play the game, Carrie got hit by a bus, Bob, what was Carrie working on? We used to play that all the time, so we're starting to do that kind of thing on site, so we can have backup to the backup, because previously, people leave, for whatever reason leave, and, they had a small amount of knowledge for the thing they were working on. And I'm really trying to get everyone to be well-rounded in everything we do, so we don't run into that problem again.
That'll lead us into being more, your team to be more proactive than reactive to issues going down the road, right?
Yeah.
Very good, nice.
And I'm hoping to make it so, in 20 years down the road, when I'm ready to retire, expire, either one, whichever one comes first, there'll be a group of qualified people that can just move into it, rather than looking outside.
And for the folks at home, the work that's going to be done on the headworks is going to significantly take care of the rag problem, making it further downstream than causing the problem in the clarifiers in the first place. So everything's coming together.
It doesn't mean you can flush all the rags still, they still
No.
have to
No.
make it there. And we prefer they just didn't happen in the first place. Because
Another-
you still have 2 huge lift stations that they have to go through, which, hopefully we'll be able to get a Facebook page going, but we have some record-setting rags that we've pulled out. The one that I saw, one of the guys, it was longer than, he's over 6 feet tall, and it was longer than he is. So,
You have to wonder how it makes it
What?
into the system.
What
They're
toilet
amazing.
allowed it to flush?
I've seen some amazing things. We're talking full bed sheets, like queen-size bed sheets that made it into the sewer. Amazing things.
So it's more than just tampons.
Correct, correct.
And for everybody listening to this, the real thing is, the only thing that is flushable is toilet paper.
But not bamboo toilet paper.
Oh,
We
God,
prefer
no.
that, that's a no-no.
Horrible.
It's
Does
horrible.
sound horrible.
And not Kleenex, particularly not bed sheets.
Speaking of, Scott, I had a question from people in my neighborhood about the, what was it, the product we use to clean out the lines that we used to pick up at the...
You mean the roots, to take care of the roots?
Yes, is there any more of that still down there? Can you get that, or is it?
There is, yeah, if you
Would
come
you
down.
recommend it with all the, still continue to do it?
I mean, when needed, I wouldn't do it on like a daily basis.
Okay. No, I know that, but I mean, is it done once a year? We had many of the homeowners in my area do that, and they just asked me, speaking of,
I mean, the only issue, especially in low-lying areas, you know, your lines are gonna be at least 3 to 4 feet below grade, which in some cases puts them in the water. Excuse me, if a root has penetrated into the line, obviously water can too. So, you know, you can do the root thing for a certain amount of time, but eventually it might just be, because a lot of the pipes, the older ones especially, are clay. Or cast iron, not ductile iron, but like a cast clay pipe, whatever it might be. You know,
have those.
and they don't stay for that long. They're not a lifetime pipe.
all right. Thank you.
Unless you've got a very short life. Okay. ADUs, that's coming up, town meeting.
I did pass out the draft of the town meeting article regarding ADU. I was hoping you would read it and so we can talk about what impact it has on sewer. Because at our January 9th meeting, the response was, hey, 1 EDU per ADU, you know, charging, but here it is that, are we going to ask that a new lateral line be placed for the sewer line?
No,
You're-
there's plenty of places in town that share a lateral.
Okay, so we will not ask that a new lateral or new connection to a sewer line be placed. So when this ADU is built, we ask that its sewer line connect to the existing home sewer line.
I would prefer, and the reason behind that is if you put in a secondary lateral, you're now actually accessing our main, breaking it, not breaking it, but you're cutting it, you're putting in a new lateral, a chimney and everything.
I
and-
just want to be on the same page with everybody here understanding, we're saying, yes, you can tie into your existing sewer line for your main dwelling for this ADU.
Under the proposal, I may be misreading it, but it says the principal dwelling and accessory dwelling unit shall have common utilities, including septic, electrical, and water.
All right? So that's it.
That's
I
it.
just wanted to make sure we were on the same
I mean, I'm
page.
just,
Because we have an ADU coming before Conservation on Wednesday. He's connecting to the main dwelling sewer.
right, that's what this says
That's
you
what-
do.
Yes.
This is a
Yeah.
requirement under this
Now-
proposal.
It's irrelevant to the fact that if the ADU is connected to the main or it's separate from the main, right?
I think.
The main, the house.
Okay. Now, so that this ADU, the new unit, is detached and out in the field someplace, we will require a second EDU on that house. So there will be 2 EDUs for this one street address. If the ADU is attached to the existing dwelling, and makes it a 4-bedroom unit, so they're going to be at 1.2 instead of 2 EDUs. I mean, you can have, your accessory dwelling can be two things. It can be attached to your main dwelling with its separate entrance, which means we're now adding one more, at least 900 square feet, one bedroom, to the existing principal dwelling. That will not be a separate EDU because it's not a separate structure. But if it makes it 4 bedrooms, it has to be a 1.2 EDU.
I would be careful with that characterization. I'll tell you why.
Yeah, I know.
Well, wait.
So if you expand on adding a separate dwelling unit that's attached to the house,
Yeah.
I would specify attached.
It's part of the house.
foundation is attached to the house, so the new part of the foundation's attached. Because I'll tell you what's gonna happen, and I've seen it other places. You put your new dwelling further away, but you attach it by like this long covered porch.
Correct.
And they call it, if you continue so certain towns will prevent you from getting an accessory dwelling unit, and that is their way out.
Okay.
So,
And we all-
although the point is, we want our full EDU from
Right.
the accessory dwelling.
That's right,
Yeah.
because it's like making it a multi-family home then.
Right.
Exactly.
But,
So you get 1, 2.
yeah, we know that Nazi did this with a dwelling, never mind. That's it, we've seen that in West Wareham, a second building was built, they had a long breezeway, and they called it,
Part of the house.
yeah, part of the house. But if I take a look at this bylaw, the bylaw says it has a separate entrance.
And/or common, doesn't it say a
Yeah.
common walkway or hallway? Didn't it say that in there?
I
But-
think so.
Huh?
I think
So regardless, okay, so what you're saying is regardless of how this ADU is created, whether part of the principal home or as a separate building, it will automatically become 2 EDUs,
Yeah,
I would say a
I would-
minimum.
A
Minimum.
minimum.
as opposed
I
to
would say-
4 bedrooms at 1.2 EDU.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say that because it says an existing dwelling in excess of 4 bedrooms may convert 2 of the existing bedrooms into one accessory unit. So unless I'm wrong, the way I read this is you gotta have at least a 5-bedroom home in order to make 2 of them
Or an in-law,
one, for
or
an
an in-law,
accessory.
or an in-law department, or an in-law apartment.
Yeah, you're not so much adding an extra bedroom, you're adding another
Living
apartment.
Living area.
Yeah, it would be like a condo,
So-
essentially.
I just wanted to make sure we agree that if any ADU, I hate these EDUs, is created at any home,
Would you say
that-
it carries CDU?
We're gonna go to a CDU shortly, so we're
But 1 EDU per ADU.
companion development unit.
so if this new
Alphabet soup.
ADU is connected to sewer, it becomes 2 EDUs for that address.
Correct.
Unless it's already a duplex, et cetera, so, or I should say, it will add an EDU, 1 EDU for that address.
Correct.
It could be 2 becomes
So you're
3
gonna
in
end up-
case there's a duplex.
Well, mathematically, I think you end up with 2 EDUs versus a 1.2 if it goes from a 3 to a 4.
Yes.
Yep.
Right, so
So-
revenue is increased.
Well, yeah, and I just wanted to make sure that we put it out there, it goes in our minutes, and if anything is asked, we as a
I think,
commission has agreed that any additional accessory dwelling unit is charged 1 EDU.
Correct.
I think it's basically what we're saying. An ADU equals an EDU.
No matter connected or
Period.
disconnected.
Right.
Correct.
Is there any issue with that space or living of 900 square feet?
That's the minimum for the ADU.
Right,
That's the maximum.
no, the max.
Max for the ADU.
But the max for an ADU, which is gonna be 1 EDU anyways.
Yeah.
But you can build an EDU right beside another EDU right? It can, it's ser- and,
ADU next to an EDU? No.
no. You can have two EDUs side by side,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, which is what the ADU actually becomes from a billing purpose, right? Revenue standpoint, yes.
Thank you for putting it on the agenda. As I said, it's coming before conservation, and I wanted to make sure that if the question is asked, I can answer the question that,
I mean, is there anything else that we should be asking or clarifying regarding this?
because it is going to come before town meeting in special spring.
I would ask that the word one EDU minimum be attached to the ADU.
Right.
Excuse me? At one point?
I swear to God, Jim. A minimum one EDU.
Yes.
Yes,
Well,
I don't want to start parsing, is it an extra bedroom? Just,
no. it's-
Correct.
want to add an ADU, it's an EDU.
If it's an
period.
ADU, it's one EDU.
But minimum.
Yeah.
The word minimum should be.
minimum, right.
Because if you say, if we
Right,
do say
exactly.
period, then we're limiting ourselves. If we say minimum,
Yeah,
no, you're
because-
right. You're right.
In reality, you could get that ADU to say it's not another bedroom until after it's been connected, right?
So, this is coming up for town meeting, and this is, when is the deadline? April 1st, I think, is the deadline for special spring. Where do we want it inserted? On the bylaw?
Well, you got this, down the bottom, I don't know, Springtown meeting.
I think where's it said?
would that be in that bylaw or in our sewer bylaws?
No,
I saw.
it really needs to be placed in this one.
Think so?
Because it says, it talks about off-street parking. Where'd you find that section that said it needed to share sewer? Or,
Number 8.
Utilities, yeah.
Number
Share
8.
utilities.
The principal dwelling and accessory dwelling unit shall have common utilities, including septic, electrical, and water. That's under requirements.
Yeah, so again, I think that falls under sewer guidelines.
Last item of requirements.
but I don't think it would hurt.
In other words, next, the water department would have to start thinking about what they're gonna charge for it, or,
We can put in a number 9 and say one ADU equals one minimum of one EDU.
simple, yeah, just add that line in there.
So,
Go ahead.
that would be number 9,
One ADU equals,
minimum.
Minimum. One EDU.
one EDU charge. EDU charge,
Yeah.
I would just leave it EDU,
EDU?
Yeah, just, yeah,
less is more.
exactly, don't confuse them with,
If the property is connected to sewer. Just to clarify.
oh, we don't charge for septic at the moment,
I know, but
can we?
I don't want this is only there if you're gonna connect to sewer. Well, okay, so who do we go to about modifying this before it gets sent to, special spring?
Hold on, did that say septic or sewer? Didn't it say
says-
utilities including,
Including septic, electrical, and water.
oh, it didn't say sewer, electrical and water?
No, my assumption is that using septic is a generic term for sewer or septic,
It could be a cesspool
or cesspool,
or Title
All right.
V.
or pipe into the ocean.
I think the line, the simple phrase is fine, because it's just not gonna apply if you're on septic, because we wouldn't have any EDUs.
That's right.
So it doesn't
It's
matter.
Yeah.
only if there is sewer involved, so,
We don't
okay,
need to say it, it just is.
okay.
It's understood.
And
Jimmy, will you follow up with, is this planning or zoning? I think it's planning, isn't it?
it's planning,
I think
Ken
it's planning.
Buckland?
okay. Yeah, I can check with Ken.
Does this chart that they have here in this proposed article, does that now have to be changed at all by any chance? I don't think it
No.
does it?
It just says where it can be built.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Scott,
So you'll work with the planning department to get this updating?
I will talk to him Monday. Seems Anita missed that, I missed it. You're up anyhow, even though we're not on it. Do you have anything further to add for us?
Nothing further, I kinda gave you the whole,
Give us a whole nickel
Bang.
spiel?
yeah, that's all I had, unfortunately. I could start making stuff up,
Or how we all do that?
right?
Okay, our next meeting is meeting workshop on the 10th of April.
Where and when? What time?
Time is 1 o'clock at
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock at
The plant.
Scott's house.
Scott's house? Excellent.
Where's Lane?
That's that. This,
You ready?
Drum roll.
I make a motion that we adjourn at 7:22.
second motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have a drum roll for that. You can't just arbitrarily do it.
Well, we've missed
Good night,
the
everyone.
tip-off, but
Thank
at
you.
least we'll see the rest of the game.